I'm actually gonna coin a phrase right now. I'm gonna call you the Matrix Queen, if you don't mind. I think that's.
Please do not call me the Matrix Queen. I definitely don't consider myself anything that would stand for the Matrix.
Check one, check two.
Well, the title I gave you wasn't about you leading it. It was about you decoding it and cracking it. As your website says, you are looking for a way to help people take back their sovereignty. I think that was an awesome line on your website, selfmasteryquest.com. That's where you guys can find out more about Ola. But I thought it was really awesome also that you have the second line of your about says, my Matrix login is Ola Wolny. I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into all that, I was curious to know, you're based in Norway, is that correct, Ola?
That's correct. I am in the Arctic circles. This is the northern side of Norway, around the corner from Lofoten, which some of you might know. So very much up north.
Yeah, I looked at it on the map because I went to your website and you said that you kind of had a spiritual journey there. What brought you there, and why are you living in such a place that's so extreme to the north? I mean, it's cold there, so it's an unusual place to live, especially you said you're from the Slavic countries.
Right. I'm from Poland originally. So kind of my first trip, or my first journey out of Poland was into the UK, where I spent several years, and then I moved to Norway, and recently 6 years ago I moved up here. So the reasons are always matrix kind of based reasons, job, etc., but nothing is accidental. So I think we could probably spend the whole time talking about why Norway, what is this place, why is it so special. I've spoken before about Hyperborea being here in northern Norway. There are local legends, local accounts, including artifacts and caves, drawings, etc., which are pointing that there's a whole history here, pointing to the fact that the local people, the ancients, the people back from the legends hundreds and thousands years ago, have stories talking about some kind of metaphysical union, extraterrestrial union with the earthlings that happen here in this region. They're talking about Hyperborea being here. And of course, the history is everywhere in the world, but why am I here? Well, because when I came here, you see, I didn't really expect it to be such a surprise. I think that when you start living here and you start living a little bit in a way that the people the locals here live, especially the ethnic groups, so-called Sami people, which are the people of the most northern parts of Norway, Sweden, Finland. They teach you a different way, a different outlook on life. They live very much in alignment with the cycles, and this is something that we don't understand. We talk about it and we don't understand it. I can tell you that because I used to think I understand what it means to live in alignment with the cycles. We don't understand what it means. So being here opened me up to a totally different type of experience, totally different type of world. What we think used to be just in the legends, in the fairy tales, very much is real here. So this is a very magical land. The energy is absolutely unreal. It is off the charts, and I truly recommend anybody to come and visit specifically this area of so-called Lofoten, Vesterålen. A lot of history, a lot of legends around this area. You will feel the energy. I can guarantee you that, especially people that are a little bit more tuned in and open, you will feel the energy, which is absolutely second to none. I've traveled quite a lot. I've not seen anything like it anywhere. And the interesting thing is that you probably don't hear much in that context about this region.
So what are some of the local legends that you've seen and heard from there? And what truth do you know behind them, or what have you tapped into?
Well, the legends go back to the stories. They go back to the sort of 15, 16, 1700s. They go back to Vedic, Vedic texts, Edda, which is very much linked to Vedas. You know, Vedas, Edda. It's very, very interesting. So the stories say that ultimately what we know as Vikings most likely came here from the Indian sort of area. They allegedly traveled north, and they traveled here through the current Russia and those kind of areas. So the legends talk about a race of people, very spiritual, very advanced people that knew some kind of mysteries behind the health, so they would not get sick. They knew mysteries of transcending death. They were very tall, blonde, blue eyes, so the kind of typical Scandinavian look, as you would consider it now. They would have been also quite tall and strong and big, so quite supernatural abilities that were ascribed to them. And we have some of the caves. Interesting that it happened in the caves, which is very much alchemical meaning to it. We have drawings. There's been drawings found dated about 2,000-3,000 years BC. Drawings which are depicting a union between those earthlings and some kind of extraterrestrial race, shown as a race of people or some kind of humanoid looking beings with 9 fingers. They are, pardon?
On each hand, 9 fingers?
No, both. So 5 and 4.
Oh, wow. Huh.
So the legends go that these were some kind of beings from the Pleiades, and this union that took place here, the Hieros Gamos as they call, basically produce new race of people in this region. I think that for people who would be probably more into the meaning of the words, the land here used to be called Hologaland, which is the Holy Land. So you see, there's a lot of that supernatural phenomena that would have been hidden into these legends, into these stories. Blavatsky would also speak in that context in her works. So we see it's not ego, it's literally direct links that she makes to this region, speaking about specifically this race, speaking about the Aryan race. I'm talking the Aryan race coming from.
Are you familiar with Admiral Byrd and his diary?
Yeah, sure.
What have you found out, or what do you have any theories about that? Because it's kind of been hijacked a little bit that he found the inner Earth in Antarctica, but actually his journal specified that it was in the northern traveling that he went into the Earth.
Sure, and was
greeted by the Aryans, who were blonde hair and blue eyes, which is the other hijacked Nazi thing going on with the Aryans of that. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sure, and of course the Aryans and the Nazi, that's again hijacked, like you say, and misinterpretation of the whole notion here. But I think that it's if you look at the current maps and you look up north, of course they are showing water, but the maps from hundreds and hundreds years ago, they were showing continents, right? They were showing some kind of islands, the kind of square, the 4 of them with like river or water right in the middle. And of course, this is no mystery. This is no surprise that things are being kept from us and hidden. Of course, I do not live as close to that area to be able to comment specifically what it looks like. And even by those maps, even when you go back to those maps 1600, 1400s. Norway, or this area, it kind of shows that it looks a little bit different to what it shows now. So it seems that we are, as in this area, it's a little bit more up north, or let's put it this way, it's a little bit closer to that northern region, to those kind of islands, if you like. So I think we're being sold a lie in terms of exactly what it looks like now. I can tell you one thing, which is very, very bizarre. Of course, I get a lot of questions about the, am I freezing here? How is the weather? Is it so terrible? And of course, fair enough, we do have the influence of Gulf Stream, which comes up all the way to Lofoten. However, the weather, especially in the summer, the sun, the intensity of the sun, it just does not make any sense in the context of where we allegedly are. So the heat that we get here, which, mind you, isn't it interesting that we have been moving to the digital thermometers, right? So we are not allowed to have the mercury ones anymore. So it's like, how do you really check what's the temperature, right? So it is actually, when you are here in the summer, it feels much warmer. I come from Poland. I lived in the UK. When we get the 20 in Poland or in the UK, it's okay, it's pleasant, but it's nothing special. You get 18 here, you cannot live here. So something is really bizarre here, wherever this is coming from. I truly believe that definitely there is some kind of energy center up in the north, and definitely the geography of that region doesn't look anything like what we're being told. I would absolutely I would agree with the maps from back in the day. And definitely you see the fact that we get the northern lights here, which are linked, also the northern lights, right? So they are up north, they are not really anywhere south. Where are they coming from? Where is it really? What is the phenomena? What is it linked to? And I would say very much that this is linked to whatever is in that center.
The northern lights, what do you attribute that to, or what do you think that is from? That is from maybe something that's coming from the top of the map?
I would definitely, you see, I think that our perception of a lot of this reality, and of course we view it through a lot of scientific lens, and okay, we can look at it, and give that explanation, which is fair. But I think that what I have come across, thanks to those original teachings that I was exposed to, is that a lot of what's coded in the legends, in the myths, in the stories, a lot of it is really holding the true meaning of this reality. And for example, the northern lights, a lot of the phenomena, if we want to understand how this matrix works and how to go beyond, how to rise above, we have to look at it from a different lens. So there is a lot of metaphysical phenomena happening around us. We obviously are not very tuned into that because we are very much kind of matter-based. Our spectrum of perception is very, very limited to the visible light, and that is very, very limited. So there is a lot that goes on that we don't understand, or we don't see. We don't see, we don't perceive, so we kind of ignore it or discredit it. And the same is with the northern lights. You see, the part of the explanation or the stories that you can hear here or from those old legends is that the northern lights are natural phenomena of the energy coming from the inner earth. So this is the end, but you see, it's coming for a reason. And when we talk about the inner earth, I think we also a bit misunderstand the context. I think this is probably where when you look at the legends, for example, the Irish folklore, a lot talking about the other world, the underworld. What is that world? The elf world, right? Where if you, for example, happen to come across a well back in a day, a lot of legends are talking about it, and then that would be that kind of gateway into another world. But I think that there are places around the earth which are literally those kind of gateways. One of them being in the north, like a portal.
Have you heard of Telos? Have you been to Oregon?
I've heard about Telos. I've heard about the books. So I don't necessarily see everything being so physical. So I think that some of those stories tend to portray this world in a very physical context, as in there are some kind of beings that are also physical, and you can find the entrance and you can go down there and you can be with them, and perhaps there are pockets of that here and there. But I think that a lot of the phenomena is not the kind of 3D, not material phenomena, so very difficult for us to understand, to comprehend, to perceive, because we cannot touch it. But this is part of the world that's been coded into those stories and those legends. And Northern Lights very much connected. Yeah,
sorry.
Go on.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And the Northern Lights very much connected to a phenomena of energy coming from the inner earth up into the middle world. So the lower kingdom sending the energy up into the middle kingdom, which is back to the Viking mythology. You have the lower, the middle, and the upper kingdoms, which is pretty much reflected everywhere. The tree of life reflected everywhere in every culture.
I'm curious, have you spent time in the United States?
Well, I wouldn't call it spending time. I've been there, I don't know, 2 times or something like that. I probably one time for about a month, 3 weeks a month, and another time probably shorter. That would have been quite a long time ago, though.
Okay. We can get into astrology now, Ken.
I was going to ask, because she was talking about the Northern Lights and potentially have you looked into you said you looked into the older maps. So I guess where I'm going with this is, do you think that a lot of the shape of the earth, or the simulated earth, what are your thoughts on flat earth, or some of the theory about that, about the Northern Lights kind of being where you are almost in the middle of the realm, and then also the simulated aspect of it. So I think a lot of things get hijacked in terms of this new age. I don't know if it's a new age religion, new age, whatever it is. They're always talking about dimensions and raising your ascending. There's not a lot of physical aspects to those, and it's almost like you have to feel it to believe it. But it seems to be like a rabbit hole that people are searching for, trying to get into another dimension, another reality, parallel stuff. Do you think that is? Do you think there's any truth to the fact that you might be in the center of this earthly plane?
I think that a lot of things are misinterpreted. I think that, I mean, the new age stuff, I don't even want to go down that path. That's to me is just a total deception. And the whole new age is just such a misunderstanding of a lot of the teachings. So all those dimensions, all that, I mean, I don't even touch that, because that's just a never-ending hole of just misinterpretations. In terms of the flat earth, I think that again, you see a lot of whether you look into the Bible, there's a lot of people interpreting the Bible, doing it in a very, very literal way. So
a misinterpreted way as well, because of the translation of the languages.
Exactly. And I think that there's only so much that we can blame on the translation. Then there is a layer of, are you able to understand the coding? Are you able to understand the mysteries? So we have a lot of scholars working with it. And so what if you do not apply different layers of how those texts are coded? You only gonna get to a certain level. And the thing is that how is it possible that before the patriarchy was ushered, we had a totally different culture and society based on totally different principles? It was, I wouldn't call it matriarchy, but I would definitely call it reverence of the feminine. Why is that never reflected in any of those interpretations? This is the problem. This is what's missing, and this is where you get your answers. This is where you get your answers why there's always a maiden by the well in the Celtic folklore. This is where you get your answers why there are all those goddesses. Why are there gods but only one goddess? There's only Venus, Aphrodite, Athena, Inanna, Isis, only one.
Shiva is a woman, or Shiva is a man?
Pardon?
Shiva?
But they will always twist it. I mean, you know that when patriarchy was ushered in, right? You have those, you have the whole pantheon replaced by the male gods, but the original principle was the feminine. When you look at the Kabbalah, whether you look at the Bible, the original texts before they were overlaid with that patriarchal meaning, they talk about the feminine principle. The waters. What are the waters? What are the waters? Well, when a woman is pregnant, there is water inside the womb. So spirit moved upon the waters. Why did spirit move upon the waters? What are we talking about? What waters? What spirit?
So you're referring to the Bible passages, correct?
Absolutely. So a lot of those texts are totally misinterpreted, and I think that a lot of the look, I don't take a stand whether the earth is flat or not, or let's put it this way, my view is different. I can see a lot of misinterpretation. So a lot of the flat earth is a little bit taken from the cosmology of the various past and current cultures, describing the kind of closed in area, the firmament, but there is a closed in area with the Antarctic, right? The ice around, and we have the firmament, so that means we're on the flat earth. I would say that the ancients were trying to describe something slightly different, such as that this reality is constrained, it's locked in. We are more living in some kind of biocapsule, which, by the way, I don't consider firmament being physical, that you can, take a hammer and break it. I would say that this is some kind of a change in dimensions with a very, very heavy layer of technology, which we don't understand. And this is why you see those alleged, although I don't know, I can't 100% confirm if it's correct or not, but you see those movies of rockets being launched and hitting the firmament, coming back down, right? Yep. I don't know if it's true or not, but I definitely know, and this is written in the legends, in the ancient texts, you name it, it's there, that there is a very, very advanced technology that's been used upon us. Part of this technology is dumbing down our DNA, and that is the story very often encoded in the ancient texts, right? We have the Bible, the Adam and Eve being created. No, they're not being created. They've been dumbed down from the 12 strands to down, and now we're on 2, right? So all those stories a bit retold. So I would say that am I in the center of the earth, whichever way we look at it? I don't know. I don't think we will 100% know anything. I would definitely say that in my mind, I think we live on something much bigger, and we are enclosed. We are in some way encapsulated.
We're in timeout. The earth could be in timeout.
Oh, it was okay. The Earth could be in timeout. I think the Earth is, or this area is obviously organized in a certain way for a very particular reason. Somebody, and we know who that is benefiting from us being the energetic food for certain beings that organized it in this way.
Yeah, I agree largely with what you're saying, Ola, because if we do live on a flat Earth, then I think it is a lot larger than they're telling us. And I do think we are enclosed by the firmament. And there was something called Project High Jump, I believe, where the US government tried to crash missiles into the firmament and they couldn't break through it. And what you just said there, I've never really thought about it, but I always thought that the firmament was put there kind of like spiritually by the creator of the universe. But you're saying that possibly it could be art, maybe some type of technology by an advanced culture to keep us enslaved in this.
An
And there's
ancient, I
also
think
the
she's
whole
saying
thing about
ancient culture, correct? Is that ancient more than
an ancient
advanced?
culture, right? And it
I-
could be. Go ahead.
I wouldn't say ancient culture. I would say the parasites that came here and enslaved the humans that were already living here. We were not created by any race that is currently enslaving us. We do not belong to any race that currently we are under control of.
Yeah, but with the firmament, maybe it also offered some form of protection, maybe from the waters above, maybe from other
Species.
other species that wanted to come here. So they built that to protect us or sequester us. We don't know. I mean,
well, I honestly, I don't believe that it's protecting us. Like I say, I go by what the feminine line, the stories that they gave us, the accounts that are coded into the ancient texts. Why aren't we reading to understand? There's so many people reading right now the ancient texts, and they still don't understand what they're reading. So it's very clearly described. The feminine is not protecting us from any waters above. It's again misunderstood concept of creation, of birth. The waters are not that there is waters above us and they're trying to send missiles there and it's not working, and if it works then the deluge will come down. This is again a misinterpretation of the creation myth. The creation myth is about creating from a feminine principle, because this is how you birthed. You're birthed from a woman. You're not birthed from a man. So masculine gods are just an overlay of the patriarchal teaching. So the firmament being literally AI construct is something written into cosmology of every single culture, and and you find that in Hermetic texts. This is not coded in some very sophisticated way for very special people to discover it. I mean, it's written in there.
You're saying that every ancient text talks about the firmament?
Every ancient text talks about the control mechanism above us, talks about the firmament one way or another. In the cosmology, in the way they describe it, in the way they describe that this is a closed space where our fate and destiny is decided. I mean, what kind of creator or a creatrix, however we want to call it, what kind of God who is truly merciful and loves its creation, which God would want us to in any way be controlled and enclosed?
Which text can you I don't need you to verbatimly tell me what verse or whatever, but what text are you referring to? Are you referring to all text, or are you referring to the Genesis?
I'm referring to the Gnostic texts. I'm referring to Piscis Sophia, for example, an amazing account of exactly how this firmament is organized. Not just the firmament, it's the different layers above. I'm referring to the Hermetic texts where Hermes allegedly is talking about the fact that Atum created this space and destiny has been set in place to rule our lives. Why is that? And he's talking very, very clearly and openly about that being a evil mechanism.
I mean, this sounds like a physical trap, but do you believe that we live in a soul trap like Howdy Mikowski and some others talk about, where we are spiritually entrapped, reincarnated back here? Because there's really a differentiation for me between having a firmament and we're physically stuck here on this earth, and then also the spiritual component of it where we're reincarnated back into this life of suffering. Do you believe in the soul trap theory?
Well, again, there's nothing to believe in. It's all it's all in our history and mythology. I think that people again misunderstand or want to understand everything physically. If you send a missile, the missile cannot pass through, so it's physical. It's not just physical. It operates on many levels. It's an AI construct. It's a very advanced technology which we don't understand, and of course we don't understand because it has been put in place thousands and thousands and maybe 100,000 years ago, and we still don't understand. We are still not even aware of it. We sitting here having discussions about it like we're discovering it only. So
do we have a choice? I mean, what I've heard people talk about it.
Let me just say one more thing on that question. So absolutely, there is a soul trap mechanism, which is again back to Hermetic texts, back to PC Sophia. These are not concepts that are hidden. It's openly described, and different cultures are talking about it as well. So yes, the soul trap is absolutely real. If you don't know how to die, this is why Mary Magdalene says, if you do not resurrect by life after death, forget it. It's not going to happen because you're not going to know what to do. So you're going to be called back through this reincarnation mechanism. The moon plays a very, very significant role. The moon is really the key player here. Most likely this is the light that you see at the end of the tunnel. And you're being lured back. And of course, this mechanism sends you back down here via this kind of life review. And obviously, if you follow the Eastern concept, you will be told that there is karma to be repaid. If you maybe don't follow that, then you have the sin notion, right? That you have to go back and repay what you've done, and so you come back down because you're tricked into it. You don't know any difference. So once and of course, mind you, death does not make us enlightened. Death does not make us jump in terms of our consciousness. It is we do not gain any special wisdom just by dying. So if we do not resurrect by life, if we do not understand the rules of the game and what to do after death, as when we are still alive, then after death you're bound to be reincarnated down here. You're not going to be able to navigate your way out.
You say that the firmament is AI technology. Do the ancient texts speak about that? How do you know that?
Well, the Hermetic texts talk about a mechanism in place put by the Anunnaki, however you want to call them, whoever the Anunnaki. That's not a race. It's not the name of a race. Anunnaki, when you translate that, Anunnaki, the ones that came from the heaven down onto the earth. So some kind of invasion, right? That happened. So whatever the race that we're talking about, and you can look in the Enuma Elish. Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation myth, talks very clearly about creation of the zodiac. For what? To control men, putting the moon in place. So the moon is not natural. The moon, even looking at the science side, the moon does not meet any criteria to be natural. It doesn't add up mathematically. It doesn't add up in terms of physics, geophysics, etc. A lot of interesting coincidences there in terms of the size of the moon. You have the eclipses, etc. It happens to be exactly as the sun. So the moon has been placed there on purpose. And it's kind of operating. It is the control tower. It is the brain behind.
The antenna.
How.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, even some of the ancient philosophers like Plato talk about the Earth before the moon being there.
Before the moon, and the Native Americans too talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Indigenous people talk about before the moon was there, the vapor canopy, or the fact they couldn't see the sun when the day the sun appeared. There's texts about that as well too, I believe.
Right. So you see, back also where I'm from, I think that you mentioned New Age earlier, and there is all this cult of the moon, right? The moon being the feminine, and a lot of women kind of following the moon. So I'm gonna piss everyone off now, but the moon is nothing positive. And actually, where I come from, and a lot of legends throughout different geographies, they will tell you that. Well, the moon is nothing to be happy about.
Yeah.
Nothing
No, I
to
mean,
worry.
in the works. I don't know if you've heard of David Wilcock, but have you heard of
Yeah.
David? So he writes
Mhm.
books, but he fashions the moon as kind of being like a Death Star, hollow
Yeah.
inside, kind of like a battle, like a battle center, and towed into
Mhm.
place. But imagine the technology to bring the size of that thing into the gravitational field of the Earth. I mean, that's some super advanced technology.
So, do you believe that the moon is an antenna? I mean, basically, right? So it's kind of governing Earth. Is that what you believe? And if so,
Absolutely.
what's it receiving a signal from? Is it Saturn, or I mean, are the rings of Saturn broadcasting something? Is that what we are? Well, I don't even know if we're seeing that. That's a whole nother topic of the plasma shield and why we can't see stars not oscillating like like they're actually physical things.
Yeah, I also want to know, Ola, excuse me, why is it that we have the firmament and the stars look like they're kind of like
Oscillating.
Flickering.
oscillating,
Yeah.
twinkling,
Mm.
but the moon doesn't. We can see the moon very clearly. The
Mm.
craters, you can see it very defined.
Mm.
Is the moon before the firmament? Is it in the firmament or behind it? Why is that?
Well, here again, I would go back to, for example, PC Sophia, which is the Gnostic text that beautifully explains literally the levels, the aeons, as it stands. So, and the cosmology again of variety of different cultures, picturing the moon as that sort of the first point of action, right? So kind of being a little bit below. Then only you have the layers, the aeons, as in the Gnostic call them. So there are 12 aeons, which seem to be corresponding to the zodiac belt, to the constellations. So the constellations are captured there, and then above that we have the 13th aeon, and the Piscis Sophia, Venus fell down from the 13th aeon. So this is that fall of Piscis Sophia into the aeons, or the area that she's not off. What does that mean? Well, Venus, the sister star of the Earth, has not been hijacked in that way by this mechanism. So she represents that feminine principle. She has not been in some way sort of captured by this mechanism. She is still moving within that mechanism, but she's not of it in a way. So those texts are very allegorical. You have to kind of navigate your ways around. This is why I keep saying that you have to know astrology to understand those texts, because otherwise you don't know that context of why Venus is of the 13th aeon. What does that mean? 13 naturally connected to the feminine principle. And back to your original question on the moon, you see, there is that side of the moon that we never get to see. So very interesting for a natural satellite, right? So of course there is a technology sitting on that side of the moon that we never get to see, which is part of this whole navigation and operation of the space. Ultimately the moon is very much linked to, the moon is that one that captures the soul. So after death, or even throughout our life, right? And we know that because the moon has a very, very big impact on life on Earth. And I'm not only talking about the tides or whatever, the oceans as it's claimed, but I'm talking about the fact that it messes up the crystalline structure of the water. It messes up with the crystals in the earth. It messes up with women, of course, with our cycle. It creates or makes us into some kind of machines to create more slaves, because of course nothing in nature is able to reproduce as often as women. So here is the moon being absolutely nothing positive.
Does it affect men as well?
Of course it affects all of us. The moon runs that major mind control. This is back to that matrix. What is the matrix? How does it operate? So moon, with all that mechanism, it's I say that if we kind of go down that path, I say that the moon acts like an antenna, like it kind of sends certain frequencies, certain signals. So this is why it's called mind control. We receive it into our mind, the third eye, which has been tampered with. It's been tuned in to receive certain frequencies from the moon. So basically the reality as we perceive it. And I'm not talking about the fact whether the tree is there or it's not. I'm saying that the fact that we have a certain experience in this life is very much streamed from the moon, but it is also part of this whole zodiac context. So the other planets, we know we've had Ken, you had a reading with me. So the fact that you have certain planetary influences, which are in many ways limiting. They are explaining certain traumas. They are explaining certain events that happen to you or continue to happen. They keep happening. They very often they are linked to things that are limiting and in some way negative. So this is part of that mechanism of control and holding us in those so-called lower vibrations. And I don't like to go into that kind of new agey low vibration, this dimension, that dimension, but of course it's all about emotions. So you see, this is why even when you look back at the last 3 years, we had a lot of fear, a lot of misery, from the so-called pandemic. We have the war. Like, where are the good news? Nowhere. They don't want you to.
So why are certain people unaffected by these this mind control? Because I don't believe that I'm necessarily affected, and I'm not saying that I'm the only one. But what is it about the way that we perceive things, the way that our bodies are physically being presented in this reality? How does that? How are there seems to be some people who just go along with the program, every single thing that is program. They don't know how to be a creator. Are they different than are they created different, or are they processing things different? Like, what is it about individual people that, I mean, we could probably talk a little bit about the genetic code of the blueprint of when we're born. And you can look at the math that happens, but why is that? I mean, it can't just be because planets were aligned or things were aligned that way. What is it about us as humans that enable us to break that genetic mind control?
Well, the way the planets were aligned, I think we have to look. I scrape the whole astrology and just throw it down the drain. We have to again understand astrology in a different way. This is non-evolutionary tool for us to grow. It is a way that you can capture that mathematical numerical construct and translate it into symbols. So astrology is not describing anything positive. It is describing the way this matrix has captured you, specific programs that are specifically designed for you. So you see, this is why when you mentioned at the beginning of this interview that I write on my website that I'm logged into this matrix as Ola Wolny. This is what happens when we incarnate, when the soul incarnates. And mind you, there are two ways. One is that you're just coming from this reincarnation cycle. So you, in a way, you're kind of coming back from here in this closed system. Another way is you coming from the outside. So the controllers of the matrix, they cannot refuse you. However, if you as a soul coming from the outside, you want to come in, you gotta play their game. So they're gonna screen you, they're gonna have a look at you. Who are you? Where you coming from? What you want to do? What is your rank? How capable are you? What is your level of consciousness? Like what are the chances that you're gonna understand the game, right? What are the chances that you're gonna go beyond what they're trying to so desperately program into you? And then, of course, what they're gonna do, they're gonna try to, in some way, give you certain experiences, certain traumas, certain issues, certain things that will keep repeating in your life, and that is represented by the position of the planets in your particular natal chart and everyone else's. So this is how it works. The astrology is nothing to aspire to. It is nothing to find out and then live it out. It is something to absolutely transcend.
So if
this
you
is your ultimate
so
code.
if you wake up to this knowledge that you said, Mary Magdeline said, you can wake up to that, then you have a chance. So what does that mean for the next level? If we're understanding that this is a compliance trap, I'll use that as far as instead of being a soul trap, it's a compliance trap. So if I comply and I do these things that the archons or whoever set this up, if I go about their business and I say, like Cypher in the Matrix, if I say, put me back in, wipe my memory, I'll be compliant. I'm okay with that. What if I say I'm not? Are they going to let me out? Because if I'm not going to play their game, why would they let me stay? Like the entropy on that would be catastrophic to the system, that I could potentially bring it back.
This is exactly what's happening right now. There are certain rules that they have to obey, such as they cannot refuse you, so they're gonna let you in.
Is that a universal law? Is that
yeah?
Do you think that is? Let's have a philosophical discussion real quick about exiting this matrix. If we decide when we perish, when our bodies die, and we go into this next dimension or next step of our soul's evolution, what are our options? I mean, if I say I'm not playing your game anymore, I mean, is that the right way to go about it? And then, I mean, is there a potential that if we don't play this game here, that our souls are going to perish forever? Or how do you see the options, and how do you see the potentials to that?
No, so back to the Hermetic text, the Gnostic text, the Templars teachings. There are certain ways to get out of here. So you see, when I say waking up, I think we have to be very careful, because a lot of people call themselves awakened, or they're talking about awakening, but really what we're talking about is being informed. Being informed. Okay, this is the
being
game.
informed to do what? To break pattern, or that you know what's going on?
Being informed as in, this is what's going on. It's a game. I am here. It's a closed off environment. I need to get out of here, but that doesn't mean that you know how to get out. Even when you like in Matrix, you wake up to the Matrix, right?
You gotta play the game,
right? But it still doesn't mean that you have the knowledge what to do after death. Okay, so now you know, for example, that the moon is going to try to lure you back and send you on that reincarnation wheel and send you back down here. Okay, what's the alternative? This is the true awakening. This is the wisdom that all those ancient cultures were trying to pass to us. What to do after death, how to live your life in order to actually operate outside of the matrix. This is what the witches were killed for, burnt at stake for. This is what they were everywhere right, all around, because they had certain wisdom of this reality and how to operate to be able to step outside of this reality. So, for example, Jesus says that the kingdom of God is within you. It's not outside. Why not? Because outside is their world. There will always be some kind of master of this world, and there's always been. If you look at all the risings and throughout the history, nothing changed. It didn't change anything, because that will always be in some way either manipulated, exactly,
just keeps coming back. So how do those texts say to get out? I mean, what are the options?
Well, first of all, of course, you need to be aware of that. So we have, everybody watching and we're talking. We have the step one. The second step is that we need to understand what does it mean that every single culture is talking about, for example, the tree of life, the concept of tree of life? Why is the tree of life everywhere? Why are they talking about different kingdoms? The lower kingdoms, the underworld, the middle kingdom where we are, the upper kingdom. Why are they talking about, why is the sun being portrayed as masculine? It's again inversion. Sun is not masculine. Sun in every culture, when you look through the history, has been feminine. It's been inverted. So what happens there? What is it for? Why is it even here? Well, sun is a portal. There are certain portals here that can be used, and the Templars talk about, for example, the sun being the portal to get out of here. But the women, the witches, would have been talking about the underworld. You see, it has very bad reputation. It has very bad marketing. It's called hell, right? If you don't go up to heaven, the other option is hell. Well, so it's not hell.
So, okay, I want to stop you there for 1 second, because this is a, Chad, I'm going to jump right in here, Chad.
That's fine.
For me, this is a Mandela effect. Do you know what the Mandela effect is? Mm-hmm. Or are you aware of what's your interpretation of it, really quick, before I tuck into my biblical Mandela effect for me that happened 4 or 5, 6 years ago or so?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure what you mean that what I'm talking about is the Mandela effect.
No. What I'm saying, Mandela effects are things that have retroactively changed in the past. I think it's the best way for me to put it.
No, I understand the notion of it, but I don't see
for me. So I was in church probably 6-7 years ago, and I was raised Catholic, and they always changing. They're always changing the scriptures. They're always changing the biblical verses. And then I believe it's the Apostles' Creed. I haven't been in church for a few months, so I apologize if it's wrong. It says on the third day he rose again, or something like that, Jesus. But they say before that, Jesus descended into hell.
Yeah.
And I said, why would Jesus go to hell? Right. If Jesus is incarnated, perfect God, why would Jesus go to hell? I said, that has never been there before. Who put that in there? And so I started asking people who were, who knew, and they said, oh, it's always been there. And I said, no, it's not been there. Jesus has never gone to hell. The teachings of the Catholic Church say that, if you live without sin, then you get to go to heaven. And I asked, I said, why would Jesus go to hell? And they said, well, he would go down there to save the souls. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. So for me, they inputted that, and they put it back into the Bible, and people have said that they remembered that. But Jesus going to hell, for me, just resonated something in my past recollection, in my doubting Thomas mind, that says, why would Jesus go to hell? So you're saying go down? That's
so you see, I think that maybe it's to do again with different translation of the Bible. Where I'm from, it is absolutely the case. It is actually part of the deepest feminine mysteries, going to hell, and Jesus going to hell for absolutely a very important reason. And hell being described as a place that it is, with this eternal fire and a devil with horns there. That's this is a fairy tale for children, where to scare them into behaving. Jesus dying and going to hell. He's not going to hell. Where is he being taken? When he dies, he's being taken, his body is being taken and put in a cave or in a tomb, right? Which is, again, we're now toying or sort of on the verge here of the feminine mysteries that I spent quite a lot of time working with. And why into a cave? The caves has always been the alchemical representation of the womb. Of the womb of what? Of the womb of the earth. So being taken to the cave, to the tomb, whatever, it's a black hole where all the matter is born from, right? So he's being taken there. After 3 days, he comes back. Why? Well, he comes back, he ascends later to heaven, and as he goes, and PC Sophia talks about it, right, the text, he messes up the astrology a little bit. So he messes up the mechanism above us. Why? So that the control is not so severe, so that that mechanism is messed up, and it cannot be predicted. Things cannot be, as the ancient texts used to say,
Determined.
It messed up the mechanism. But that time when because we have that in our prayers, you know, I was born in Catholic family as well, and there is this kind of morning prayer that you had to do every day, and in that prayer it absolutely speaks about Jesus descending first to hell before going to heaven. And that is very alchemical. Again, we cannot take these literally. It's very alchemical. It is talking about the way to get out of here. So he descends to heaven. He's trying to guide the way out of here. But yes, he comes back, which is not something for everybody necessarily to do, but he comes back to mess up the mechanism, to mess up the aeons, mess up the firmament, the what's above the firmament, this mechanism of the control of the humans via zodiac, via the planets. He messes that up, and then of course, so the story goes. But the point is, this whole descent into hell first. Very much, I suggest looking into the descent of Inanna into the underworld. Why is there a story like that? What does it really say?
I was just going to ask if there were texts describing what he messed up as he went through hell and came back and then ascended. What's it called again?
He didn't mess up anything in hell. He messed up, or hell. Right. What is the understanding of hell? It's not hell, not the way it's being perceived, portrayed to us. It is the underworld. Underworld is where you go down the tree of life, you get out of here. This is what the witches know or knew. He went up and he messed up the heaven. He messed up our perception of heaven, as in literally up towards the moon and past the moon. He messed up those aeons, Pistis Sophia. But his journey down, his descent into hell, this is something to perhaps for anybody who is interested to dig a little bit deeper into the story of Inanna descent to the underworld.
Inanna.
Yeah. I just want to point out, Ola, that we're over the hour mark. So you said you had a cut off.
Right.
So just bringing you aware. So we could end the interview soon.
Do you have any more time, or do you want to try to come back?
I mean, we can wrap it up if you guys. I don't know what you feel is. Are there any other topics that you wanna talk about? Do you want to go deeply into something new? So
yeah, I wanted to talk really quick about the glitches in this reality, or the Mandela effect, really quick. And what is your interpretation? What have you seen? Before I ask you that, I want to tell you that I have physical things that have happened to me appeared out of nowhere and disappeared. And there have been symbols. I showed you the symbol that came to me, but not just that. I mean, just things that really, I'll lack of a better term, I'll say awakens me that this reality is not what it seems. But it's also able to retroactively change things in the past that they'll call them false memories of the Mandela effect, but they're not false memories. They've changed the collective memories maybe, but there are millions of people who remember things. And I would say remember things is the wrong word, experience things in one reality. And they're trying to, I don't know, Chad, maybe you can explain it better than that, but there are things that I know 100% for sure happened a certain way, and they're being manipulated retroactively, whether they're in Bible verses, the wolf and the lamb, the lion and the lamb, where 2 or 3 may dwell, in the midst I will appear. There are things that change in physical reality, physically, not mentally. They change here.
It's movie lines, it's geography, it's the spelling of words, even our bodies itself, the positioning of the organs, the skull, it's physical locations, it's everything.
Yeah, how can that happen based on what we're talking about here? How does that relate to this technology matrix that we're stuck in? Or have you experienced it too?
I think this is actually quite a big topic. I was just recently on Tony Sayers talking exactly about about the mind control and how this virtual reality works, and I went into a lot of details on that fact. So to kind of try to make it as concise as possible. Like we said before, right? If there is a construct above us and it's streaming certain frequencies, it is literally like an antenna streaming frequencies, and then you have a TV or an antenna at your house picking up the signal and streaming certain view for you, right, on your TV. The same, it's really operating the same way. It's just that we happen to have the receiver in our head, which is the third eye, and it kind of translates the images and it displays a certain reality. So this is why it's called mind control. What we perceive, what we see, cannot be really 100% trusted. We see it through the filter of programs. It is programs that are being streamed into our head. This is why it's so easy for them to go back and change something, because you see, this is the funny thing. We are not by birthright, by the fact of going back thousands and thousands of years ago to this race original design. We are very metaphysical. We were very spiritual. They caught us into this net, into this virtual net, which is literally based on the fact that the visible light is very limited. So what we perceive to be our reality, what we perceive to be our experience, is only a fraction of what we could be potentially experiencing. But they are tuning us into something specific that they are sending into our brains, and we're picking it up. This is why it's easy for them to go back and change something and say, no, it wasn't like this, it's been always like this. And you kind of know why, because you have memory in your body. You don't only operate from the mind, but they would love that. They would love you to only operate from the mind. But as it happens, we are sentient beings. We have the feeling function, the emotion. So a lot of things that we experience, we code it, we remember it, we hold the emotional memory of it. So then when they change the scenario, right, when they change the history, you know that there's some kind of
So are we disconnected? Because I've heard someone just say that there's only about 20% of humans are empaths. And I've also heard that number is the exact, well, not the exact, but basically the Mandela effects, the realization of these things that's going on with what you describe. Those are only able to be felt and experienced by empaths. So that's what they said. That's what one of the theories was. So are you saying that we are disconnected from that a certain point, and most people are not? Or are you saying that what I've experienced is a mind control to me, that I misremember something?
Well, I think that, there's a lot of debates that can be had here. There's all this notion of the fact that only a certain amount of people, a certain percentage of people have a soul, and the rest are just kind of background fillers. And then perhaps they are, they're not gonna have that kind of same experience.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that? That every human has a soul?
I certainly believe that a lot of us have been so manipulated to a point. You see, the problem is that when you operate only in the mind and you stop connecting to that inner aspect of you, to that soul, to that source, that soul, and this is back to the shamanic teachings, right? The soul gets fragmented, and we literally lose those parts of the soul. So I don't believe that necessarily people are literally walking zombies by design. I believe that as a result of this programming and being so ripped away from our true nature, people become more and more robotic. Less and less of the soul is still there. The soul has been fragmented. Perhaps it's been it might have left the body, right? So it's kind of, it's a little bit of essence still there. But I probably, on that basis, I would say that probably the notion came from there.
Yeah. So yes or no? Do you think that everyone walking around has an incarnated soul?
Well, I believe that to begin with, probably they did, but where they are right now,
well, if you can expand your awareness, then you could also, by polarity, contract your awareness, and maybe it's gone. Maybe the awareness is part of your consciousness and it is part of your soul. Maybe that is a connected piece, and through the mind controlling and those things they've done, maybe it's shrunk to almost a pea, or they've taken it away completely. But I guess that's another conversation starter for another time. I want to be respectful of your time. I could talk to you for hours. I'm sure Chad's got stuff to do. He's got to make videos and play tennis and things like that. But I appreciate you coming on. I'd like to have you on again to continue this. Probably maybe not for as long as we did this time, but I want to do some research on the some of the texts that you have mentioned, because I wasn't aware of them in depth of what they meant. Chad, do you have anything else to add?
No, nothing. Just just that you have some lovely flowers in the background, I've noticed. And where's your Bengal cat? I haven't heard a thing from it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think he got bored of all of us and missing in action.
When you did that interview with Tony, I thought it was like a screaming kid, like a screaming 5-year-old kid.
Yeah, that can happen. And there is nothing you can do, because you see, the more you tell him to stop, it gets worse.
Well, I definitely wanted to get into some more of the benefits of astrology readings for you, for your business, or for what else is next for you. What road you're going to travel now that you have woken up in the matrix and you're trying to guide yourself through your reality now. Maybe that's how we started off in the next one, if you're up for that.
Sure, would be great. I think great place to.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add about your site, or what you do to promote yourself, or your website? Where they can find you, where they can locate you?
Of course, people, if they would like to find out more what I do, what I work with, they can find me at www.selfmasteryquest.com. I have finally gotten to a point. I've been asked for a very long time about some kind of webinar or a course on because obviously there's only so much you can cover in an interview, and then we kind of jumping between topics, so we never really dive into anything properly, and I really feel that need to go into some of these topics in depth and explain them properly. So I am going to have a webinar on the 2nd of April. You can find the information on my website, and that will go into the, as I call it, the mysterium of life. So the Easter mysterium. So the Easter part is included in there on purpose. I will explain the context of Easter in that way. And probably a little bit deeper on some of those alchemical teachings.
And the teachings of the mystery school, I want to hear about too. I'm sure you have that segues into that as well too, correct?
Yes, I guess it's, all the mystery schools are really coding the feminine wisdom there. So the wisdom that the patriarchy was fighting against had to be coded into symbols. So yes, that's very much the cornerstone of those teachings.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. It was very interesting, and I want to pick up. I'll email you and see when you're available for another hour or so. We can wrap this up. We're gonna probably have some comments and questions from people watching this as well, and I know I'm gonna have some as well. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks.